today we're actually going to discuss about how to identify and reduce churn. Essentially, today we will be talking about key steps to predicting and identifying churn in time, how to find and analyze the reasons for churn with the help of data and automation, and the best practices and strategies for reducing churn. And to discuss with me today, we have two awesome ladies. So today is an all-woman panel. Very happy about this, very excited about this. We have Theodora Lai, Chief Strategy Officer at Burpple. Hi, Theo.
Hi, nice to meet everyone.
And we have Sweta Sahu, Growth Strategy Lead at Abillion. Hi, Sweta.
Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here.
And we have Nikita as well, who is from MoEngage.
Hello, everyone.
And just a quick introduction for myself. So my name is Divya. I'm the growth leader for MoEngage in Southeast Asia, mainly Indonesia. So I guess without further ado, we have attendees coming in. I guess we can begin. To all the audience out there, once again, thank you for joining. And if you have any questions at all for any of the speakers or for myself, feel free to just drop in the chat box and we will attend to all your questions after. Awesome. All right, then let's begin. So Theo and Sweta, I mean, before we, while we get started, have a couple of questions that I would just go around the table to ask, and how you guys, identify and reduce your churn, right? So I think the first question that I would want to put out there is how do you calculate a churn for your customers? What according to you is, how do you identify it? I mean, whoever wants to go for it. Sweta, you want to go first?
Sure. Before that, maybe I'll just give a quick introduction of what we do. So Abillion is basically, we are a sustainability platform that is trying to build a global community of conscious consumers. So through our app, community members can review and discover vegan dishes at restaurants and even vegan, cruelty-free and sustainable consumer products ranging from food to beauty to fashion within the app as well. So it's really a user-generated content platform. People call us Instagram for a sustainable community or Yelp for a sustainable community, but mostly it's like it's a combination of both. And getting back to your question of how we calculate churn for our customers, we generally focus on retention. So we calculate retention instead for our month 1 and month 2. And what that does is it shifts the focus a bit more towards activation and engagement rather than resurrection. And being a very early stage company with a small team and limited resources, so far this strategy has been working for us in indirectly reducing churn rates. That said, we always need to do more resurrection flows as well to reduce churn moving forward, and it's always going to be a work in progress for us.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I mean, especially with the size, right? We always talk about all these big companies where they're already at resurrection. So it's good to know, from your side. Okay, thank you for that, and thank you for the intro as well. Theo, what about you at Burpple? You can start by introducing what you guys.
Thanks, Divya. So yes, just also as a brief background, Burpple, we are a food discovery platform. We help people discover good places to eat with authentic, also user-generated reviews. They leave reviews everywhere, every dish they go, and nowadays they're also reviewing takeouts, right? So they, there's a passionate foodie community that is on our at burpple.com, and they're basically sort of leaving these reviews, everywhere they go, even as they travel. We also offer deals to restaurants through our Burpple Beyond membership. So I would say, reducing churn, it's an ongoing task, as what Sweta said, right? And I think we will continue to work on it, for as long as we want to exist, right? So the key to fighting it is really, I think, to develop a very systematic way, a defined retention process that then allows us to address, the entire customer journey, right? And the way we calculate this, we calculate it broadly in terms of the web traffic, the web and app traffic coming into Burpple.com. And we also look at it on a respective user base for our product, for instance, the Beyond membership, right? So we try to analyze the stickiness to our products and to see how the monthly active users are growing and how many new or repeat visitors are actually coming on board, right? We're able to see this data live. We also track it on a month-to-month basis. So for our paid, for our subscribers to the Beyond membership, we also then look at, or for any of our paid subscribers, we look at the customer churn in terms of the absolute numbers. We also look at the revenue churn as well. And I think the data collection, both the collection and the analysis, is critical, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of organizations have enormous libraries of data, but then they all remain on the shelves, right? Someone just needs to be plying through it. And I think for us, it was not too long ago that we also started focusing and taking a very active approach at doing this. I would say it's never too late as well, right? To start looking at it and finding ways in the customer behavior to reduce churn.
Okay. All right. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I was just also doing a webinar yesterday where we're like, like it's very important to know your audience, right? And know what to do with that data that we collect and how we can use that, to actually further optimize. Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Theo. That actually brings me to my next question, where like most product folks like try to drive users into the aha moment, right? So what is the aha moment for your product? Anyone?
I can go first.
Sure.
So I would talk about two aha moments here for us. The second one is more of a habit moment. The first one would be when a member lands on the Near Me map on our app or their country feed and is able to see so many vegan options around them. Especially for omnivores and newly turned vegans and vegan curious people who really had no idea that their country or their nearby areas provided so much vegan options. It's an eye-opening moment for them, and we've been getting so many customer reviews saying that, oh my god, I had no idea that this restaurant serves vegan options, or this product is actually vegan. I've been using it for so many years. And yeah, so that's one of the first key aha moments for us, which is in the discovery. The second one would be, which is more of, like I said, habit moment, is when as a member you realize you can actually donate to a cause for free with the donation credits that you have accumulated by posting product reviews or dish reviews. We partner with more than 70 nonprofit organizations around the world, most of them being animal sanctuaries, but also environmental and educational causes like Room to Read or Share a Meal. And we are adding more sustainability causes to the app every day. But the moment you post a review and immediately get like $1 in your donation credit to donate to any of the causes, that is again like an eye-opening and aha moment for our users. Is like, okay, this is amazing.
That's awesome. And it's really good to know, right? I mean, like vegan culture is really like, I mean, in countries, especially in Southeast Asia, it's really coming along. So it's just really good to know. I myself aspiring vegan.
Yeah, that's great. Everyone should try.
Yeah. Theo, what about at Burpple? What is your like aha moment, so to say?
Yeah, we have I would say we have a couple some mini ahas and some ahas. So so talk a bit about the beyond people who are active using our mobile app, which allows them to basically search for nearby restaurants, view reviews of nearby restaurants with vivid pictures posted by other users. Then, of course, then there are subscribers to our Beyond program, which is a one-for-one dining membership at over 500 restaurants who are able to access deals through our app. So I think the mini aha is when a friend, brings another friend because it's one for one. So you'll be in twos. So in Singapore right now, you'll be able to dine out because the limit currently is two, started this week. So it's when a friend brings another friend to a restaurant and both saves on that meal, right? As one brought along the Beyond. So that's like, hey, I can enjoy the same tool and I can bring another friend to dine with at that restaurant. And then also another is when they access via app and discover that there is an outlet, a well-reviewed outlet or new opening outlet that they can actually find on the Beyond program, right? That is then near to them as well. Another thing is, also when browsing through our reviews, it's also about the moment where the food, the dishes that are actually reviewed, then catches the eye of the one who's dining at the restaurant and then able to pick that dish that is actually good for them and their friends, right?
Right.
And then we also aim to provide all information about the restaurant and up-to-date information restaurant on the page of a review, so that as and when you read about a particular a dish, a restaurant, you are able to find that outlet immediately, find a deal, get that number, make a reservation, right? So all in one app. So that is basically what we try to offer.
Okay, that's nice. So you do have a couple of them. I mean, like you said, mini and micro aha moments. Right. And I mean, and considering now that the aha moments are clear and how you identify churn rate also is, I mean, it's pretty much clear. And so what is your like high level or strategy for actually improving this retention or reducing churn, so to say?
Yeah. I don't know if Sweta, would you like to?
No, go ahead, please.
So the high level, I think the strategy for reducing churn is really, to me, an all of company effort. If only it were only product or only marketing, or only data that will be able to reduce your customer churn. So product must play the various departments. Product must play a role. Engineering, business development, the merchants, right, that we actually have on our program are very important partners of ours. The marketing, content, and data team, all have a role to play in reducing this churn, and it's ongoing. Our team, they must be dedicated, right? They must enjoy food and each other's company. So we all need to be good at what we do. So on the data side, of course, so going into the hard numbers, we are looking at using machine learning or algorithms to identify the cohorts at risk and engage them ahead of time, to not just those that's about to drop off, right? Engaging them ahead of time to ensure this customer satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
And so we also have designed and are slowly increasing the automated trigger campaigns, right, to target these users before they they go into hibernation, and a lot of times it's really at the beginning of the journey, right? And then, so we are also constantly refining our customer personas to target them accurately and to be able to choose the right content to actually share with these groups of users.
Right. Makes sense. I think based on what you're saying, we do have a question already. But Sweta, what about you?
Yeah, so in my experience and a couple of things I learned during Reforge as well, we know that like churn and retention are mostly outputs, and it needs to be broken down into areas which you can actually affect through inputs. And that for us is like looking at our product, looking at our marketing through the pillars of activation, engagement, and resurrection. So, like I said, we generally tend to focus more on activation and engagement, at least at this point of our growth. For activation, it's easier and more accessible to do changes through notifications and the upper layer of communication like emails and blogs. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's more controllable, and you can do micro changes to improve conversions on a daily basis. So really understanding the user journey and drop-off points and giving the right push at the right time to bring a new user to the next level of the app, where you can really understand, where the user can really understand the value proposition you're trying to provide them. That is important for us. Obviously, product improvements at the activation stage are very crucial, but they take longer time to build, more resources, more thinking, more strategizing, and continuously iterating and testing on your onboarding flows and reevaluating your activation metrics on a regular basis helps as well. When it comes to engagement, we really try to focus on delivering relevant content and highlighting our user-generated content as much as possible. We have users in over 130 countries, so personalization and localization at this stage with a very small team could be quite difficult, but we are working on automating and scaling those layers as well. And meanwhile, we try to use tools like MoEngage to segment and personalize our communication as much as we can.
Glad to hear that. But yeah, I mean, I would assume, right? Because also, I mean, you again, like you have to educate all these people as well, right? I mean, the knowledge is also a bit like limited, I'd say, on this whole on this lifestyle, right? So, but yeah, okay, well, that's good. That's good. I think we have two questions. I feel free if anyone if you want to take it up. So we have a question from Johan. How would you structure an AI project to identify customers at increased likelihood of churn? What minimum data points do you need to train a usable model? Anybody?
Well, I would say that this is I would say it's highly unique, right, to each to the business that you're looking at and the data points that you are collecting, right? So I would say you definitely need a couple of inputs that makes sense for you to gather a more sort of sophisticated profile of the customer for the model to be so-called usable. So not able to so what we look at, for example, are the engagement, the interactions, and the reviews, right, that they're actually posting. We're also looking at the extent to which they redeem, the frequency and the value, right, the deals in our app. And then we also then look at the frequency of use of the mobile of the app in general, and then we compare that with and because we're also building this model, it's basically something that you have to test over a period of time as to with how accurate is it to the actual number of customers that drop off, right? That in fact no longer come back to your work. And I think this is a model that also has to be continuously refined.
Thank you, Theo. Johan, I hope that answers your question. Sweta, do you want to add anything on it? Or
no, I think Theo's answer was quite good.
Okay, so I have one last question, but before that, I think we have a couple of questions here as well. So, question from Albert, right? Any new trends in customer retention you can share? What have you done that is distinctive? Any case studies to inspire the audience? And okay, I'll break his questions into 3 parts. Okay, yeah, I think that first.
Sure, I can. I wouldn't call it a trend, but more of a realization. There was like this phase where every growth marketer was really trying to go after social media ads, search ads, and trying to bring in as many customers as possible. And right now, with ad costs going up and retention rates from the ads, from users coming through these ads going down, a lot of growth marketers are rethinking that what should be our marketing strategy regarding getting high value users. So we try to think about product market fit from the very first touch point, including ads, and what really is the right channel for you as a product. And it could differ from company to company. For us, we realized influencer marketing has been a lot more valuable in bringing in high value and high intent users. And that reduces the stress slightly on product and other channels to retain these users because they are already high intent and they are dedicated to your mission, they're dedicated to your purpose, and they're dedicated to what you're trying to solve for them as a company. And yeah, so we try to really fix or test the targeting, the channel, the messaging right from the very get-go, so that there is an expectation versus reality match through our ads, be it ads or be it our articles, be it our content. And even though your cost per acquisition might get slightly higher, it pays off in the long run.
Okay. Albert, I hope that answers your question. And I think Albert has a follow-up question. So what are the most effective retention program for users? Reward points, cashbacks? Are they new effective implementations, and how do you get through the clutter? I think you pretty much answered half already. How do you get through that clutter though? So.
Again, I'll try to answer that by saying that offer something really unique that only you can provide. I guess like when it comes to offers and discounts and sale, right now there is very little product point of differentiation across each company. So for us, it was, like I said, it was the donation credit that we offer, which is catering to a very different kind of motivation, which is like more of a philanthropic kind of motivation for you to keep using the product rather than an instant gratification. So what it does is it creates loyalty in a deeper way rather than a momentary joy when you get an offer.
Thank you, Sweta. Albert, I hope that answers your question. Thank you for the question. That brings me to my last question, which I think was partially answered as well, which is, what are some of the unconventional tactics or ideas or campaigns that actually worked and actually surprised you that it actually worked? Theo, you want to go first?
Yeah. So I think we already are analyzing, our customers based on their behavior, right, rather than their identity to personalize the product offering. So we have also personalized email campaigns that matches the customer's taste, and whether it be through pushes or email messaging, right, to increase these conversion funnels. So we've seen results within 3 months of implementation. But I would say this is a very unique time in our lives right now with COVID. And I think that it is not about also purely what we can do as marketers. I do think that businesses have to look at both their business and the way that they're reaching the customers, right? When it comes to delivering that service, right, to customers. So we and we just have to when in the onset of pandemic, I think you have to basically to cut through that clutter, right? Also, just adding to that question is that there are so many ideas out there, right? But how do you pick one that actually works for your business? And I would say that always go back to what the company is good at, right? So that you do not start from a blank page. You actually start from a position of strength, right? And then you actually go about then reaching your customers or offering something more to your customers, based on what they're already currently looking at. So that I would say is one way that you select, right, based on all the cases out there. And so for us, it's also about being hard at work, right? During COVID, you cannot dine out, but there's limited dining out. But interestingly, we actually are seeing redemptions and engagement grow year on year over the past 12 months, to the extent that it is exceeding pre-COVID. And that's only possible because we are putting in the effort to ensure that the content that we are generating is relevant to them, right? It's not going out to dine in new places and new launches, but it is like, where are the good takeaway trails along your cycling or hiking route, right? So this is a bit of a content strategy, right? Then we are also updating type of deals. We are going, we're highlighting different aspects. We're highlighting takeaways right now. And I think, the one important thing to look at is also how do you increase the lifetime value of the customer. I think that is key. There's too many efforts out there that in the B2C space right now that is very transactional. Mm-hmm. And then at some point in time, you have to ask yourself, am I just going to subsidize, $1 and $2, and then yes, you get that all that customers, over this period of time. But then what are you going to do with them? You have to still lay out your plan.
Makes sense. And I mean, I guess that must have surprised you, right? Like, I mean, with dining out limited, but I mean, I guess people are still engaging in your content. So that's awesome. That's really inspiring. Sweta, what about you? Abillion?
I would just add probably that don't be afraid to take risks when it comes to like rethinking your product from the scratch. One of the things that we did is we brought the churn customers or churn users a lot ahead in the user journey by making our sign-up process not mandatory. So our sign-up process used to be mandatory. So the moment you open the app, you have to sign up to go further. So we remove that layer, and what that does is really filters out low intent users in the beginning of the journey, and in earlier stage, your numbers might not look good, but eventually when you cross month 1, month 2, you will see that the customers that are, or the users that are retaining are a lot more product market fit or like your purpose driven than the users who looked at the app and didn't stick. So that was a huge risk or bet we took, but it eventually paid off. And it brought the churn rate much forward in the user journey, but our retention rates in the long term looked much, much better.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. I mean, I guess it made sense, and just added to Theo's point as well. I think that brings, I mean, from my side, I think that's all from the questions. We do have 2 more questions from the audience. So David Lee, in the event of churn, what kind of strategies are you using to mitigate that churn? A very good question, David. Sweta, Theo, anyone?
So for us, we're looking at basically, as I mentioned, we are trying to identify these cohorts at risk ahead of time, right? So we're trying to bring that, not so close to the finish line when someone finally officially drops off at the end of 12 months, right? But of course, around the 12 months before the period, like 2 months, if they, for example, have auto renewal turn off, right? What we want to do is to incentivize to turn that back on and to continue renewing with us. So we do this via a targeted renewal promotion, and then we also enhance that loyalty in 2 ways. One is that besides also receiving that targeted promo, and then you have to look at the medium. You likely go by not via the app, but maybe by if you have the customer data, you might want to go by mobile SMS, for example, right? Besides offering that, we also actually allow the accumulation of rewards points, right? That actually goes off into offsetting their next the following year's membership. So these are also, knowing also the points that they have could reduce the cost of the renewal. That's another way. And these 2 are examples as closer to the finish line. But again, what we are looking at is really engaging the customer from the start.
Thank you, Theo. David, I hope that answers your question. Sweta, would you like to add to that? All right.
Yeah, exactly like Theodora said, we try to focus on dormant users even like before they churn out, and like really keep a directory of every user complaint and maybe bucket them into issues that your product is already working on. So once those issues are solved and like which kind of cohorts had what kind of issues, once you have that new product feature, once you have that new that issue solved, you can go back and tell them, hey, we solved this problem for you, or hey, we have this new feature which was bothering, which solves your problem again. So keeping a note of everything that is happening throughout the user's journey for whatever time they have been on your app. That really helps in going back to them when they have turned dormant or churned, to bring them back.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, David. Thank you, David, once again for that question. Next question from Matt. How much do you think gamification can help in reducing churn?
Well, I think it can do plenty. I do think that providing levels of achievement to the user is definitely a way to go. And I think it's not something that only with the help of a product or certain plugins allows for that. I think the marketing team through the page, through socials, can also do a lot in the communications in gamifying the way that we engage customers.
Okay, thank you. Sweta, anything?
Yeah, I think gamification, always is in small bursts, does increase engagement and hence keeps your user there for longer periods of time. I would say, like, we would just not try and do like a copy-paste approach of what every other app out there is doing, but try something which actually betters their user journey and the time they are on the app, in providing them like a deeper value rather than just points or
yeah, I mean, just also adding to the Telegram. I mean, as a one of the platforms, it offers a great way to do this by the marketing team, right? We always see how much our posts are read, and whenever we run a poll, it's like four times the views, and then you get really a whole group of people responding to it. So that's one way. That's one simple way.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Sweta, Theo, if you see the Q&A box, if you want to answer, type to anyone also, you can go ahead. I think next question is, okay, what is your biggest positives and challenges with using MoEngage as your CRM tool? Tricky one.
I could say for me, it has been because we are in like so many countries and we have a very small team to focus on individual countries at the same time. I guess the personalization of time and sending out notifications and emails to users at their own time zones has been a huge positive in improving our open rates.
Thank you for the feedback. Theo, what about you?
I mean, it's a good question, right? I think the thing is that MoEngage has given a huge, possibility of ways that we can analyze data as well as to reach our users, and it is rather intuitive. I think the key is really, making sure that you are using it right. You're using it extensively, right? And then there is buy-in from, the data team, the marketing team, and management in terms of using it as a platform to communicate with customers, right? I think these are things that would help you, right? Do it better with MoEngage.
Thank you. And thank you, Joy, for that question. I mean, you can hit us up if you want further information. Thank you, and hope that answers your question. I think last two questions. Okay, so Theo, I guess you're replying to Carlo. Okay, message from Tanvi. What is a bigger focus, engagement or loyalty? Tricky.
Yeah, it's both, and better engagement drives loyalty. But yeah, we always engage. We always craft our engagement strategies based on we really want our user base to be loyal and stick with us for a longer period of time. So our engagement strategies would revolve around like more content, more educational, more awareness, and less tactical or gimmicky.
All right, thank you, Tanvi. I hope that answers your question. I think that's all from the questions. I think now I'm going to hand over the platform to Nikita, Nikita heads our customer success, and she will go over a bit of the dashboard and how, using MoEngage, you can actually helps you to identify and reduce churn. Nikita?
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. let's quickly move on to the next segment of the masterclass now, like Divya just mentioned, right? So from the panel discussion, clearly the key takeaway to prevent churn is to essentially identify the potential churn users and to, secondly, deploy an effective engagement strategy for them, right? So most of the marketers, still segment the users manually and oftentimes wonder if it's too early or too late to really retain them or engage with them, right? So in our session today, I'll be demonstrating a few key features that will help remove the guesswork and help optimize the entire engagement strategy. Yeah. So let me quickly go ahead and share my screen. Right. Okay. All right. Hope you're able to see my screen. Quick confirmation. Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. So we are on the MoEngage dashboard, and so currently I am under the segment section of the dashboard, right? So if you look here, there is a provision for us to basically segment the users based on the user properties and the user behavior. So when I say user properties, data points like gender, age group, the current location, and other demographics can be used in combination with the user behavior, like whether they've opened the app or the website, and when was it that they've made a purchase with us last, and things like that. So you can use a combination of user properties and user behavior to basically slice and dice the data and create a segment of your choice, right? Apart from that, MoEngage also has the predictor segments, which is automated and actionable in nature. So you would have heard about the RFM analysis, which is nothing but the recency, frequency, and monetary analysis, right? So, using RFM analysis basically essentially helps us, automatically segment the users when we input the attributes based on which we would want to further bucket the users, right? So this happens on the fly. So the moment I basically, let's say for recency, I'm choosing app website open, and for frequency, I can choose to have the same, event, or I can basically change it. Let's retain the same app site open event. And for monetary value, let's select an event that has price or currency associated with it, so that I'm able to understand what is the purchase behavior or what is it that the user lifetime purchase value is, right? So I will basically select order successful, right? And so it's price. So once I do this, right? So once I basically, give inputs for recency, frequency, and monetary analysis, right? So I can basically run this analysis for all the users, or let's say your app is present like abillion, it's present across the globe, right, in multiple countries. And if I want to basically run the segment for only a single country, right, I can basically filter it by using property. And let's say I want to do it for Singapore, right? Last known country is Singapore. I can do it, yeah. So I can basically, define on what basis I would want to run the segmentation analysis, and I can make it specific to that, right? For the demo, let's go ahead with all the users. And I can also, again, choose between recency, frequency, monetary, just the RF, just the frequency and monetary analysis based on how we would want to basically run the segments. Yeah. And coming to the date range, of course, when it comes to any modeling, more the data, the better and more accurate the segmentation is, right? Like, so we would highly recommend, like, we at least consider at least 1 month's data to get some actionable and meaningful insights, right? Otherwise, we can choose to have extended periods so that we get more accurate output, right? Let's go ahead and apply it for a month's duration. Here you go, like it just took a few seconds, right? So, based on the inputs we have provided and the date range we have provided, the system could automatically, bucket the users based on their recency, frequency, and monetary values. So what the system does is basically understands, the values as to, how recent were they in terms of frequency, how many times have they done that particular event, and what is the monetary value. And based on that, it does the ranking amongst the users and provides a score, right? Based on the score, the user gets, the users are again further bucketed into multiple, segments, right? In this case, let's look at price sensitive users. 25% of the users are price sensitive, and it makes sense to basically reach out to them with some, discount vouchers or some price drop alerts. Right. So in terms of the recent users, these have been highly active, and we can plan on sending out some new product launch alerts or some notifications around what's new with the app or the website, right? So we can look at having them engaged. And our based on the topic we are discussing today, our focus would be on about to sleep, how to prevent churn. So, we have 25% of the users that are about to sleep and we wish to reactivate them, right? So if you click on this box, you would see that this insight, whatever segment we are looking at, is actionable in nature, right? So I am able to basically, create a custom segment so that I can use it for target. I can use it to target them in future. Right? Or I can also straight up create a campaign for them here. So I go to campaign, I choose the messaging channel, and I can create a campaign here. So here you go. So, the moment I identify the users I need to be targeting, I'm able to simply, click on that segment and create a campaign and, have them targeted. However, for our discussion and demo today, let's take a look at how we can basically have a user journey, deployed to win back these potential churn users, right? So let's take a look at how we can orchestrate a user journey using multiple channels, and let's see, how we can design a user flow for them. Let's move on to flow creation. Cool. So when it comes to flow creation, it is essential for us to basically define a trigger event, or to basically, we need to let the system know when to initiate the flow. Do I want to do it upon an event trigger? I can do that absolutely, like, app or website open, this can be a good trigger, or I can basically, have the flow started at a specific date or time, right? So I'll basically have this flow published as soon as I am done creating the flow, or I can have it published at a specific date or time sometime in the future, right? Depending on the use case. So for our use case, let's go ahead and create a flow, once it's published, and I can have this flow deployed for all the users However, we have just done the RFM segmentation and we have identified the users for whom we would be designing this flow, right? So let's go to customers that satisfy this filter. I have already created the custom segment. Let's choose this custom segment. Look, so here, look at the description, right? So this is something that has been picked up from the RFM model. Yeah, these are about to sleep users that we'll be reaching out to. Okay, so yes, when I'm deploying this flow, I can basically define what are the campaign types. So the intention or the objective of the campaign is to basically engage with the user. So this will be my campaign tag, and this will help me. This will allow me to further bucket what category the campaign belongs to, right? And also to understand the effectiveness of this particular campaign as against the organic user behavior, I can also enable control groups for this flow. Okay, let's quickly set up a flow campaign. So the entry logic has been set up. Now let's basically decide what channels to have, or what channels to incorporate when it comes to engaging with the users, right? One thing that we need to basically understand, or take into consideration while designing any flow is to understand how do we optimize the costs involved in the flow, right? So communication channels like SMS and Facebook are usually cost intensive, and our aim is to basically minimize the cost incurred using these channels as much as possible. So we'll basically set up a flow using push notifications, email, and maybe a combination of both, and see if we are able to basically win back the users using these channels, all these outbound channels. And if not, we can probably look at having more additional channels involved, specifically for these users who haven't responded to us yet, or who haven't really, opened the app, right? So, all right. So, again, when it comes to, understanding which channel works the best when it comes to, engaging with the user, every marketer would want to do A/B testing and understand, should it be push, should it be email, should it be a combination of both? So in order to basically handle this situation, we can basically, MoEngage has this intelligent path optimizer, which essentially incorporates all the necessary combinations into one single flow. And, depending on the kind of response or the kind of conversion the user, we are able to see for that particular branch, the system will be basically redirecting the rest of the users to the winning branch. Yeah. So let's set up a campaign with push, email, and Facebook. Right? So I can add up to 5 branches. So in our use case, for our particular use case, the idea is to optimize the channels and understand what works best. So there could be other, A/B testing scenarios where, you would want to understand how soon to reach out to your users. Like, what should be the, permitted delay. Like, let's think of an add to cart scenario, right? So let's say after somebody basically add something to the cart and doesn't complete the purchase, you would want to send out a follow-on reminder, right? So when you're sending this out, you might be wondering, like is 15 minutes the right time, 1 hour the right time, or should it be 2 hours, right? In that case, we can add multiple branches with multiple wait times, and we can basically test what's working best, right? Depending on what the winning branch is, we can have these learnings incorporated in our future engagement strategies. So engagement is my goal, and the optimization needs to be happening based on the engagement. Save and close. All right. So now I have, the moment user entered the flow, I have 3, channels deployed. right? So let's go ahead and create a push here. So this is the list of channels using which I would be able to basically pick and choose which channels to interact using, right? Let's set up a push notification. Okay, an email. Right. So all the content can be, customized based on what kind of, creative content we are planning on sending out to the users, right? So similarly, I can also, once these, channels or, these push notifications and emails are sent out to the users, I can basically, check if the user has come back and opened the app or not, right? Let's check for has done event. Three hours. All right. And once the user has done, yes, we have been successful and we were able to basically, win them back. We sent a push notification for all the potential churn users, and we could successfully have them to open the app, right? And we can basically send more notifications around in-apps, right? This will be inbound. The moment they open the app, we can send an in-app notification to the user. Yeah. So if they haven't responded yet, we can now introduce channels like SMS. All right. So so on and so forth, we can basically keep building the user paths and the user journey and optimize and see, how exactly the response looks like. So here's a completed representation of the flow campaign I was just creating, right? So, for all the potential churn users, they'll be entering the flow, and we have deployed the user path, intelligent path optimization for these users, where we are trying to optimize which channel works the best for these users, right? So once this is done, there's a has done event to check if the users have actually, come back and open the app, right? And there's a wait time if they have not done, and we send another round of reminder in the form of SMS. And also if the users have basically opened the app, great, let's further go ahead and engage with them further, right? And also if, let's say this similar flow, let's say the same flow needs to be replicated for the rest of the branches as well, right? Instead of creating the branches again for each and every node here, we can go ahead and merge the nodes, right? Let's say once I'm sending out an email, I want to basically check if the user has opened the app or not. I'll have them follow on to this branch, and the next steps would follow. Similarly for Facebook, right? So once this flow is taken live, this is how the metrics are going to look like. This is just a sample flow, right? So once the user enters the flow, we are able to see metrics like how many total trips have been taken. Trips in the sense how many total users have basically entered the flow, how many users are actively within the flow, active trips, like at various nodes and branches, how many users are actively still within the flow. Engaged trips are nothing but since we have some multiple touch points with the users in the form of campaigns, right? If a user is responding to any of these campaigns or the engagement channels, that will be engaged trips. And the converted trips are nothing but depending on what our conversion criteria is, right? So for this campaign, it is the order successful, right? So So basically, once I deploy the flow, the system will be looking for the order successful as an event that needs to be performed by any of these users who are entering this particular flow. Yeah. So this flow has around 331 users who have completed the order successful as an event, and we have 690 total conversions due to this flow, right? So this is how we are able to basically automate the entire engagement strategy based on how we want to turn things around for these users and how we want to have them re-engage with us. Yeah. So for each channel that we have set up, you would be able to further see the total number of impressions, clicks, and the conversions at each node.